welcome to the next Pilates session. So today it's going to be a half an hour workout, so hopefully you'll be able to fit it into your day a little bit more easily if you've got a busy day. So let's start off in standing. So we're just going to bring feet together and coming up nice and tall, and then from there we're just going to go toes apart, heels apart, and then just gently take weight forward through the toes and then backwards through the heels. So you're just feeling that weight transfer forwards and backwards. And then coming to that central point, we've got equal weight through both areas of the feet. And then from there, we're just going to think about taking weight through one leg and then back through the other. So just again, feeling that transfer one side and the other, and then coming back to that midpoint between the two. Good. From there, we're going to think about lengthening up through legs, but I want you to keep your knees nice and soft, so make sure you don't lock those kneecaps out. And we're going to think about pelvis. Imagine the pelvis like a big bowl, marble at the bottom. We're going to roll that marble forwards and backwards. Just trying to get a little bit of mobility through the lower spine, and trying to keep that equal weight through the feet and keep your upper body nice and still. Starting to loosen off through the lower back. Good. We're going to come to that midpoint, so that marble's at the base of the bowl, nice and long through the lower back, pulled up through the front. We're going to think about stacking that spine nice and tall through the back of the spine, back of the neck, crown of the head. So just make sure you're not sticking your chin up, but you're tucking that chin down, lengthening through the back of the neck. And let's just loosen off through the shoulders, a couple of circles in either direction. Good. And then just make sure those kneecaps are still soft. We're going to lift the shoulders up, just glide the shoulder blades back together, opening through the collarbones, then drop those shoulder blades down. And then from there, we're just going to come into toy soldier. So we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to pull up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. We're going to bring our arms up to shoulder height. We're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to lift one arm up, one arm down, and as you're going to lift the opposite heel to the arm that's lifting. Good. Breathing out and in. Out and in. If the breathing's difficult to do the way I'm describing, just make sure you're not holding your breath and just keep breathing. So even if it's the opposite to what I'm saying, keep breathing, keeping everything from the pelvis to shoulder blades really nice and still, moving from the hip down the leg, from the shoulder down the arm. Good. Let's do one more on either side. Good, well done. And relax your arms down. Just keep those shoulder blades down and back. Keep that pelvis up nice and neutral. I'm going to bring the feet really close together. Keep that pelvis really nice and neutral. Make sure you just lengthen down through the back, pull up through the front. And then from there, we're going to keep the left knee soft, and we're going to peel the right heel up off of the floor. And from there, you can just imagine that toe is resting on a £1 coin. And you're going to twist that knee out to the side and back in. So swivel that toe on that £1 coin, come back in. But you're going to keep everything from here up really nice and still. Breathing out, breathing in as you come back. Good. Keep that control. Through the upper body, shoulders down, spine nice and long. Good. If you want to take that up a level, then you want to challenge yourself a little bit more. Keep that left knee soft, but pop your foot onto your shin and rotate out from there. So just make sure when you do that, you don't end up sticking that left hip out to the side. Stay up nice and tall in that standing leg. So it's easy to kind of want to sink into it, but actually you're going to keep up nice and tall. Keep that control, keep the core switched on, really think about that lengthening through all the way to the crown of the head. Last couple. Good, well done. And then relax. Good. And then from there, again, feet together, up nice and tall, shoulders back, core switched on, keep the right knee soft. We're going to peel the left toes up, imagine that that left big toe on a £1 coin, and we're going to just twist the knee out, coming back in again. So keeping up nice and tall in that standing leg, Make sure you're not sticking that hip out to the side. Good. Just imagine twisting that toe round with that pound coin, keeping everything from the pelvis up really nice and still. If you want to go to level 2, pop your foot onto your shin. Keep that right knee nice and soft, so you're not locking that standing knee out. Good. Core switched on. Keep that control. Good. You'll feel that in your standing leg and maybe a little bit on that moving leg in the back of the hip. Oh, lost my balance, got carried away thinking about the back of my hip. Good. Last couple. Good, well done. Good, have a little loosen off through the legs, and then we're going to come into a roll down. We're going to come into a wide roll down, so we're going to bring the feet slightly further apart than we would do for a normal roll down. Now if this doesn't feel comfortable, then bring your feet hip width apart again, so you can stay in this position. But we're going to go feet wide, toes pointing forwards, nice and tall through the spine, core switched on. And we're going to roll down one vertebra at a time, so chin to chest, rolling through the spine, one vertebra at a time. Keep that pelvis up tall for as long as possible. Really trying to focus on that segmental movement through the spine. Keep the pelvis tucked down, and then when you can't go any further, then tip forward through the pelvis. Come down as far as you feel comfortable going, and then stacking up pelvis first. So really think, tug that tailbone down, and then stack the spine up, one vertebra at a time, shoulders down, back of the neck nice and long. Good. And again, chin down to chest. Remember, if you want to bring your feet closer together, you can do. Quite like this wide version of the roll down because it just stretches through the legs a little bit more as well. Keep those core muscles switched on, but keep breathing. Good. Let's do one more. Really think about each vertebrae, one at a time, controlling through. Good, well done. Bring your feet together once you finish that one, and then when you're ready, we're going to come down onto the mat. Just move my little friend here. So we're going to come down onto the mat, and from here just make sure that your feet are in line with knees, hips and shoulders as you come down onto the mat. We're going to make sure that the back of the neck is nice and long, so you don't want your chin pointing up towards the ceiling, but likewise you don't want it tucked down towards your chest. Just want it so you could imagine you can fit an orange in between your chin and your chest. So back of the neck nice and long, shoulders down, snuggle those shoulder blades underneath the rib cage. We're going to lift the hips up and just lay down onto the floor with the back. And we're going to imagine that marshmallow directly underneath your belly button between your spine and the mat. And the 2p coin directly underneath your breastbone between your spine and the mat. And then from there, arms down by your side, we're going to squash it back down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. So you feel like you're shortening through the tummy and pushing your back down onto the mat. And then we're going to lift away from that marshmallow 2p coin, keep your bottom and shoulders in contact. You should just be able to slide your fingers underneath the lower back. Squash back down, thinking squashing the marshmallow, breastbone down, and so your spine's in contact with that 2p coin. Lift up again. And then we're going to come at least halfway down onto that marshmallow. So you're squashing that marshmallow. If you know that you arch through that lower back, flatten down a little bit more. And make sure that your spine is in contact with that 2p coin directly underneath your breastbone. So from here, we're going to come into 100. So we're going to float, take a breath in. As you breathe in, breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to float one leg to tabletop. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to bring the other leg to join it. Keep that back down onto that marshmallow. I'm going to float the hands next to you. Just going to pulse the arms. Imagine you've got a little puddle underneath either hand. You're just splashing your palm on the top of the puddle. keeping that same pressure down onto your back. Now, the next bit's optional, see how you feel. I don't want it hurting your neck, but what we're going to do, if you're comfortable too, is just think about lifting through the upper abdominals, shortening ribcage to pelvis, and lifting through the upper, so neck and upper shoulders. So you should feel like your tummy muscles are working there. If that's too much through your neck, come back down onto the floor and hold that position. Good. Just keeping that control. And then from there, we're just going to lengthen one leg away from us. Hold it there for 3 breaths. Good. On that third breath out, float that leg back in, breath, and then breath in as you breathe out, lengthen the other leg away. Good. On your next out breath, float that leg back in. Relax your head and shoulders if they're lifted. And then from there, we're going to keep that back down onto that marshmallow, that 2 pence coin. We're going to go straight into scissors. So breath in as you breathe out, tap one foot down. Breathe in, come back up. Breathe out, tap the other foot down. Breathe in, come back up. So controlling through, keeping that same pressure down of your back onto the mat. Now, if you want to make it slightly harder, then tap down, breathe in, swap, breathe out, swap. So you can do moving both legs at the same time. If that's too much for you, then just keep with one leg at a time, breathing out as you lower, in as you lift. Okay, and the closer you tap to the bottom, the easier it is, and the further away, it's harder. And obviously you can then just swap one leg to the other. Keep that back down onto the mat, don't lift up off of that marshmallow, 2 pence coin. Let's see if we can do 2 more on either side. If you're doing one leg at a time, then finish off one leg at a time, and then come back to tabletop, lower one leg to the floor, bring the other one down to join it. We're going to lengthen through the legs, lengthen through the arms, have a big stretch through as you breathe in. As you breathe out, think sink heavy down into the mat. Breath in, reach fingertips and toes away. Breathe out, sinking down into the mat. One more time. Breathing out, coming back down onto the mat. Good, well done. Bring your arms back down by your side. You're going to bend one leg up, bend the other one up to join it. And then from there, we're going to come into hip twist. Now, we'll start off with level 1, but then if you're happy to, you can move into level 2. If then you don't feel like you want to do that leg lift again, then you can keep those legs down onto the floor. But what we're going to do is just bring your hands onto your pelvis, so those bony bits at the front of the hips there, bring your hands onto that and lift the elbows up. Keep the shoulders relaxed, collarbones wide, neck nice and long. We're going to really make sure that you keep the pelvis as still as you can, so your hands are monitoring whether you're moving through that pelvis or not. So nice and neutral on that marshmallow, that 2 pence coin. We're going to take a breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in as you breathe out. We're going to float one leg, one knee out to the side. Breathing in, come back to the center. Breathe out, swap the sides, in as you come back to the center. So you're keeping your foot on the floor and just taking one knee out and back up again. Now, if you find that you can keep your pelvis really nice and still and you can move your legs nice and comfortably, then you can float one leg to tabletop, bring the other one to join it, and then open one leg out wide, come back in, and the other leg coming back in. So you're imagining like your shins are the front and back cover of a book. And as you open the book, that shin opens and closing again, alternating side to side, but keeping that marshmallow and 2 pence coin with the same pressure and making sure that you're not rocking your back on the mat from side to side. The pelvis stays nice and still. Remember, if this is too much, bring both feet onto the floor and just move the knee, keeping the foot in contact with the floor. let's do one more on either side. And then just have a little hug of those knees in towards your chest. Good. And take a big circle of those knees over your chest. And then back in the other direction, just loosening off through that lower back. Good. And then hug those knees in towards your chest. Lower one leg to the floor. Bring the other one down to join it. Good. Okay, so from there, let's just make sure we're nice and neutral into that marshmallow, that 2p coin again. Core switched on, and we're going to come into double leg stretch. We're just going to do a couple of the arm movements to start with so we get happy with the arm movements, and then we'll add in a leg lengthen. So nice and neutral through the pelvis, onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. We're going to take a breath in as you breathe out, engage through the core muscles. I'm going to float both arms straight up towards the ceiling, so nice and wide, so imagine you've got a big beach ball in between your hands. Going to keep those collarbones wide, keep those shoulders down away from your ears. And then from there, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to take both hands above your head towards the floor, and then circle as you breathe in, the arms back up to above your shoulders. So breathing out as you take the arms above your head, breathing in as you circle around and come back. So as though you're drawing two big capital Ds back to back with your arms, and you can make those Ds as big or as small as you want to. So depending on shoulder mobility, or depending on whether you feel like when your arms come up above your head, you're lifting through that breastbone. If you can't keep that breastbone down, so your spine's in contact with that 2p coin, then don't go as far with your arms. Okay, bring those arms back up towards the ceiling. This time, I'm going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, I'm going to take both arms one leg away from us, and then circle the arms around, glide that leg back up, hands towards the ceiling. Opposite leg lengthens, both arms away, circle round and back up. So you're doing both arms all the time, but alternating legs. Breathing out as you lengthen, in as you circle round. Good. Control through. So make sure you're not lifting up off that marshmallow, up off that 2p coin. You're keeping that same pressure down, working in a range that's comfortable for you. So if you don't lengthen the leg all the way down, that's absolutely fine. Breathing out, in as you come round. Good. Out, and in as you come round. Good, nice. Keep those core muscles switched on. Keep the shoulders down, away from your ears. Collarbones nice and wide. Good, let's do one more on either side. Well done. And then relax your arms back down by your side. Okay, bring the feet as close as you can towards your bottom, as comfortable as your knees will let you go. And then from there again, we're going to come down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin, and we're going to work into our shoulder bridge. So have your arms down by your side, and I want you just to visualize your spine like it's a string of pearls. Each vertebra is one pearl on those string of pearls. Now we're going to start with that pearl at the lowest point of the spine, so through the coccyx and the sacrum, and we're going to peel that string of pearls up one vertebra at a time. So from that starting position, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to flatten that marshmallow as much as you can, and as you do that, you'll feel your coccyx start to peel up, and then your sacrum, and then we're going to shorten through the tummy muscles, squeeze through the bottom, and peel that spine one vertebra at a time. Think of those string of pearls, one at a time, peeling up. We're not going to lift too high, so don't lift that breastbone too high off that 2p coin. And then as you lower, you're thinking squeeze through the bottom, shorten through rib cage to pelvis, one vertebra at a time. Slowly coming down, individual segments, until you're back down onto the mat. So just keep breathing, make sure you're not holding your breath here. Peeling up again, shortening through the tummy, squeezing through the bottom, one vertebra at a time as you lift up. Keep those knees in line with hips and shoulders. Make sure you don't lift the breastbone too high, and then shortening down again, one vertebra at a time, control back down. Good. And I want you to think about working through bottom and tummy. So shorten through the tummy like you're doing a little sit up, and squeeze through the bottom, clenching through the bottom, peeling up, and then really focusing one vertebra at a time as you peel down. We're going to do one more. Squashing down on that marshmallow, peeling up coccyx, sacrum, one vertebra at a time as you peel up through the spine, lengthening all the way through, and then shortening through the tummy, squeeze through the bottom, really get as much movement as you can. As you come back down onto the mat, one vertebra at a time. Good, well done. And just lengthen out through the legs, one at a time. Take your arms up above your head. Have a big lengthen through again. As you breathe in, reach those fingertips and toes away from one another. As you breathe out, think about relaxing and sinking heavy into the mat. One more time. Well done. Okay, so let's just come onto our side, and we're going to think about being in a nice long straight line from the crown of your head all the way down to your heels. And then from there, I'm just going to get you to bend that bottom leg a little bit, so you've got a little bit of support coming from that bottom leg. We're going to think, imagine someone's looking directly down from above, and with your back, they'll just see that side profile. So make sure you're not leaning back with more front showing them back. And also we're going to think about lengthening that top leg as far as you can down. And as you do that, you'll just feel like you might just be able to slide a fingertip underneath your waist, in between your waist and the mat. And then from there, we're going to engage through the core muscles, keeping that lower spine nice and neutral. We're going to lift that top leg just a couple of inches off the bottom leg, so not too high. And then breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to slide that leg forward. And as you breathe in, we're going to come back again. We're going to keep everything from the pelvis up really nice and still. Slide forward and control back. Just so you're in a nice straight line again. Breathing out and breathing in. Now if you feel like you can only come kind of a little halfway to the front edge of the mat and back, then just go there. If you can control and go a little bit further, then you can work through that. But I want you to keep that lower back nice and still. I want you to keep that control through the core, breathing out, breathing in as you come back. Remember, you can keep that movement small. So work where you're comfortable with. Really keep that leg nice and long. Imagine that I'm at the end of that leg, pulling that leg away from you. So you're really keeping that leg long, lengthening through the heel. Good. Last couple. And one. Good, well done. And relax down. Good, well done. Roll onto the other side. And we'll just do that on the other side. So nice and long from the crown of your head to the base of both heels, and then we're going to bend the bottom leg so you've got a little bit of support. And make sure you're nice and stacked, so that if someone's looking directly down from above, then just see your side profile of your body, and then just think about lengthening that top leg down so you can just slide your fingertip in between your waist and the mat. Core switched on, pelvis nice and neutral. We're going to lift up just a little way, and then breathing out as you glide that leg forward, in as you come back. Breathing out, in as you come back. Keep that leg really nice and long, and just work in a range that you're comfortable with. So if you feel like bringing that leg all the way in front isn't available to you, you don't have to come all the way through. You can just make it a really nice small movement, but I just want you to control it. Keep that heel really lengthen down as far as you can. So you're lengthening through that leg. Breathing out and in as you come back. Keeping that leg at the same height all the way through. Keep that little gap in between your waist and the mat, and the upper body nice and neutral, so you're not rocking through that lower back or twisting through the spine. Make sure you haven't let that leg shorten and come up towards you, so really lengthen through that heel. Good. Let's do 2 more. Good, last one. Keep the core switched on. Good, nice, well done. And relax down. Good, okay. So let's just come onto all fours and just do a little bit of stretching. So make sure your hands are underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And just from there, just come into a little arching and hollowing, so that you come in and you make sure the spine's nice and long, shoulders down away from your ears, lift that breastbone up away from the mat. We're going to engage through those core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. And we're just going to come into a thread the needle. So we're going to thread one hand underneath the other, and then coming back up and across to the other side. Just opening up through the spine, getting that nice twist. Breathing out. Breathing in, coming back up. Good. Breathing out. And as you come back up. Keep those shoulders down away from your ears. Keep that breastbone lifted up away from the mat. Good. One more on either side. Last one. Good, well done. And then from there we're going to come into cat-cow. So we're going to tuck chin down to chest, lift your breastbone, lift your belly button. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs so you're curling through that spine. And then we're going to lift up through the other way, lengthening through the front, draw a line forward with the nose, lift that tail, then tuck down again. Lift and lengthen. Good. And then shorten through the front. And again. And then curl through that spine, chin to chest, lift the breastbone, lift the belly button. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs. And then we're going to keep that big curl through the spine as you sit back onto your heels. And keep that belly button and breastbone away from the thighs as much as you can. Couple of big breaths in there. Good. And then gently walk those fingertips forward, allow the forehead and breastbone to come down towards the mat. Good. Couple of big breaths in there. And then gently come back up onto all fours and just come into sitting. Go with wherever your legs are comfortable going. And we're going to just think about really stacking up through the spine. So I want you to think about the weight being equal through both sitting bones. And then really coming up tall on the pelvis, stacking up that spine one vertebra at a time as you come all the way up through between the shoulder blades, through the back of the neck, so make sure you don't stick your chin up again, back of the neck, crown of the head. And then I just want you to lift the shoulder blades up, glide them back and down. Good. And from there, just take a couple of breaths in. Good work, well done. So hopefully that little kind of shortened version just gives you a nice kind of snippet to be able to fit into your week as and when you choose. Good work, well done. I'll see you next time.